Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com, and I was just sitting here thinking. I do a lot of thinking, and uh, I was thinking about military, armies, and I'm thinking the importance of uh, a standing army. And when I say a standing army, I'm talking about full-time military people that they're they're in service all the time, and because this is what I know. I mean, I'm born in the United States, and the I'm sorry I was educated in public schools, but my education didn't stop in the public schools. I've always been open and trying to learn, and in other words, you don't take me by the hand and tell me stuff and I blindly follow. I don't do that. You can kind of put me in the ballpark and let me stumble around and throw things at me, and I'll figure things out. And when I figure it out, I'm much better. Remember, I'm dyslexia. I can't read. I can read the words, I just don't get all the meaning. And then I get misled a lot of times. And in other words, I read the words thinking it means such and such thing, but then it doesn't really mean that exactly. Or there's exceptions to that. So that's why I just need to know the meaning and the understanding of what we're trying to talk about. And this is what I'm talking about. On a standing military, I was thinking, how does the standing military work? And before the existence of the United States, uh, I'm thinking, okay, well, they've had standing militaries, and I'm incorrect on that. And what it is, maybe the British had a standing military. That might be considered a standing military. And the reason is they had British territories, and they would have a military presence. And then there's Rome. Well, Rome had their military. Well, they conquered, and as they conquered, then that became one of their territories, and they had a military presence. And so those aren't really a standing military as I see it anyway. And uh, the reason, and then I'm thinking, well, the United States does the same thing, and it doesn't. We occupy. Uh, we have bases in certain places, and we occupy them, and we pay rent for these bases. Now, the the exception is when they're not bases, and that's when our military is doing their work. And then, like I say, they just kind of, like I say, you heard me talk about being a big boy on the block with a big stick, and that's what the United States does. When we, as a nation, uh, when our leaders feel like there's a need for us to go to these places, we go to these places, but we don't occupy. Well, we occupy them while we're there, but we don't make a territory out of them, or property, U.S. property. So it's our in history, United States is the number one thing in many things, but the military is a good example. Now, there's lots of militaries in the past, but they were mainly for conquering. They conquered different territories. And I mean, this is what they did. In Europe, they've done it since beginning of time, man time, and Asia was the same thing. And this is where we've been under. Let me see. Yeah, we've been under. Uh, Dictators, warlords, stuff like this, and they didn't have standing armies. They had their military, but it wasn't. Uh, it was really to control the population or to conquer um, different areas. I say that what war is about is territory, resources, stuff like that is normally where war comes from. And the United States, seeing we're got an ocean between us, it's a little different, So, and that's one of the things why we are different when it comes to war and our standing military. Now, now that China's got a standing military, Russia's got a standing military, so they have a standing military, but it's unlike ours. And like in the United States, one of the things is the military can't be used in the United States. So, in other words, they protect our border, and they protect the on the outside, Americans outside our borders. And this has to, supposedly, I didn't notice any protection when I was out of the borders, but hey, uh, but I understand the reasoning in this, the idea of the military. And but this is just something I was thinking about, and I've noticed since the United States and since um, our our standing military throughout the world. Now, not so much in the 1800s, but there was wars have dwindled down. There's less and less wars. All there are now is regional wars. Uh, World War One, World War Two were the last big wars where massive ground was taken, and that was pretty much the end of it. And since then, uh, war has been a regional, limited uh, uh, encounters is what they've been, small and limited. Uh, so I think um, they were right when, because I'm not big on the United States being the world police, but what I like and the realities, don't always match. So, and like I say, it looks as if since the United States became a superpower, uh, world conflicts have got less. And we try to think it is. It's not, but it is. It's less. And now we've got communications going so much. So like somebody gets killed in New York City. Well, we get word for it. People get killed in New York City all the time, but we hear about all this stuff now. And it's basically the same thing throughout the world. We hear about it throughout the world, but that doesn't mean it's really going on like it used to be. So this is just something to think on. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.